This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
Now, we are talking about athletics, and I've referred to this before, but while he may not look it, Tom Murphy on the flag football field years ago when they had that media competition was an All-American of sorts. Tom, welcome in. Appreciate you jumping on as always. Plenty to discuss. Baseball, softball, Masters. You're a Georgia guy. We'll start there first. Anyone you like starting today and this weekend?
Oh, good morning, everybody. Well, I got to go with Mateo. I think he's a wonderful kid. We got to talk to him last week. So the Razorback, I'm hoping that he's low amateur at a minimum. And, boy, I'd love to see him play all 4 rounds and, you know, be up near the top. That'd be really fun. But, I don't have any super favorite golf dudes. So I'll go for the local. And Taylor Moore, of course.
I think Mateo's plus 750 on the Bet Saracen app. I had someone send me that this morning. So if you want to make a bet, you can do that with Mateo, because I know a lot of Arkansas fans will be cheering him on. Now, again, he tees off, what did I say earlier, time 8:38 this morning, Central Time. So we got about an hour and a half or hour 15 or so till we get a chance to see him. Of course, all eyes going to be on Tiger Woods and some of the other notable guys as well. But Tom, as a Georgia guy, what is the lore?
8:48, man.
8:48. Okay. What is the lore surrounding Augusta, just with some of maybe the people you grew up with, maybe the people that got to go? I mean, what are some of the memories you could share with us this morning about that golf course in this tournament?
Well, I'll keep it minimal because I only had a few years living in Georgia. My dad was in the military, so I was born there as a little kid, and then we were in like Oklahoma and Kansas before you know it. So, but obviously a setting like none other in golf with the beauty of the azaleas and what have you along the course, and got to hear Mateo talk about it the other day. And one time me and a buddy had just covered a game at South Carolina, and we were coming back to Atlanta, and we decided we were going to drive into Augusta, and we got to the guard shack and were promptly told to turn around. So we didn't really get to see it.
Yeah. So it's one of those special events. It's 4 or 5 days a year. You get to peek behind the curtain. The rest of that, it's all mystery and mystique with Augusta National. But we do know that when the Masters is around, that probably means spring football's about to wind down. And I guess just over a week left, Tom, till Sam Pittman and his crew wrap up spring practice. Another day out there, and I know they're going to have a little bit of a lighter work schedule on Saturday, just thudding up for the scrimmage on Saturday.
That's correct. I asked Sam about that after last Saturday's. Well, we talked to him Tuesday, and we'll talk to some players tonight. But Sam Pittman's general take was that the defensive ends, this is what he started with. Landon Jackson had a great scrimmage. The defensive ends are going to be, hard to block. That Travis Williams is calling a very aggressive defense. The linebackers had a good day, and the tackles struggled sometimes with their matchups, and then also with the overpopulation, meaning picking up the blitzes. So it's a good thing to know that you still got to improve your blitz pickup schemes. And they tried Patrick Kutas out there at right tackle, what we saw Tuesday, and then we'll get a look today and what that looks like. But between Devin Manuel, Andrew Chamblee, they tried a Marion Harris out there, but he's back at right guard, and now Kutas, and they've tried Latham, so they've got to find somebody who can be a standout. You got to have the agility, the hips, and all that. The feet to play tackle, and also the physicality. Yeah, they got a ways to go at tackle.
Yeah, that seems like the area where there's, I guess heading into fall, and I don't know how much portal activity they'll have there, but there's probably what would you say, 2 of the 5 right now starting positions you'd feel comfortable in saying Latham and Limmer, but beyond that, I think everything else is pretty much up in the air, including, like you said, both tackles.
Yeah, I think they're feeling pretty good about Joshua Braun, the Florida transfer at right guard. And then, Manuel, he's run with the ones a good bit. So I think they're starting to get some confidence in him. So he did not identify which tackles struggled or why. He did identify the why. They did some interesting twists that the dudes didn't pick up. But, yeah, I would say you got to feel really good at tackle. And Sam Pittman was talking about how when you have to kind of re-supplement on your line, that it's invigorating for him to, try to find some new guys. But if they don't get it fixed, it won't be reinvigorating when they get into the season next year. It'll be frustrating.
You mentioned Josh Braun. What about Tommy? Is it Barhol, the transfer from Maryland? What have we heard about him this spring? I don't think I've heard his name come up yet.
Well, I mean, he's not on campus, so
that's why I had heard it. There you go.
Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see.
I just know he's on the roster.
Out.
So he's had a heck of a spring, Tom.
He's having a heck of a spring working out or doing whatever he's doing somewhere. But, yeah, he'll get his shot, I suppose. But I'll tell you, more and more it seems that if you don't go through spring ball, that if you just start out in the fall, I mean, I'll take A.J. Green, for example. He was thought to be, he's going to be a big impact guy. But he came in, he didn't have spring, and Rocket Sanders was ahead of him and has basically stayed ahead of him. Now, I'm not diminishing that A.J. Green is a strong back. I love his pass catching, and they don't seem to have a big drop-off when he's in there. But it just goes to show you, when you go through spring, it gives you that leg up for sure.
Talking with Tom Murphy, Arkansas Democrat-Gazette, and Whole Hog Sports this morning. I think a lot of people are wondering about the wide receivers. Armstrong, Tesla, Broden. I know Satania is the fan favorite. Bryce Stevens was mentioned earlier this week by Sam Pittman. When are you going to feel confident of knowing what that rotation and depth chart and who the starters are going to be look like?
But, honestly, Ty, that takes into the season. I mean, that's like who shows up in game one, Western Carolina or whoever they open with. Who shows up? Who does KJ feel confident throwing to? And what we've seen in recent days is Satania is open and he catches the ball. They've thrown a lot of this screen type stuff, these outbreaking routes. And on a couple of those, you think, okay, this is a 4-yard gain. But if he can get his foot in the ground and before the defender can get there, he can usually shake them. So I think he's got a real chance. I mean, the thing is he's in the slot with Stevens, and I like Stevens too. So I think they're going to be well taken care of there. It's the outside guys. A, can they get open? They're tall, but, you got to get open. And B, if they only have a small window to get it in, will KJ throw it? And then are they good 50-50 ball guys like I picture Quincy McAdoo on defense? So I like what I've seen out of Andrew Armstrong so far. And I was touting him the other day, and Sam Pittman said, yeah, he's still got to work on being able to play fast. But I love his hands. And then Tesla's been coming along as well. And, of course, Broden got hurt. But when you're 6'7", you can think of throwing fade balls to him and just winning 50-50 balls that are thrown high. You can see Arkansas's got a game plan on what they want at receiver, taller guys, and they've gotten them the last couple of years.
I remember passing Armstrong's former school, Texas A&M Commerce, coming back from Dallas. I'm forgetting the city it was, but I was driving by. I was like, he's playing in a different size stadium than he was at A&M Commerce a little bit. Now on Satania, that's probably the most popular wide receiver in that room in the state because he's an in-state kid, Fayetteville High kid. Everyone wants him to play. You mentioned him just getting off the line of scrimmage. You watched him in high school. Ball skills, not an issue. Speed, not an issue. Now, I can't tell you about coachability or route running or any of that because that's a little too convoluted, too complex for me. But if he can get off the line of scrimmage, if he's physical enough, not just that, but blocking as well, isn't he a surefire to play this year and play extensively, Tom?
I think he's going to get his chances. Now, I'm not calling for him to catch 50 balls, but we've seen him get deep. We've seen him get deep and be wide open. But we've also seen him get deep and have guys around and just comes down with the ball. So I do think that he's made a big stride in this camp. We can overhype him to the moon, but he's got to go out there and do it on game day. But from what we've seen against D1 players on defense, he's produced out here in spring ball.
Tom, let's switch it to baseball. Swayze Field's going to be the place beginning tonight as Arkansas looks to have back-to-back series wins in Oxford for the first time since 2010. They played there in 8 and 10. Now, here was one thing as I was reading through some of the notes setting up the weekend. The Razorbacks have won 3 consecutive regular season weekend series against Ole Miss. They'll seek their 4th. They have not had 4 straight weekend series wins against the Rebels in 20 years. You look at the records, Ole Miss 1-8 in SEC play, 17-11 on the year. The Razorbacks tied at the top of the West at 6-3. It seems set up to break that 20-year streak, but we know this is baseball and this is the SEC. Tom, what's it going to take for Arkansas to do something that hadn't happened in 20 years, and that's beat Ole Miss for the 4th consecutive weekend series this weekend?
Yeah, great question. Well, they're going to have more consistent hitting up and down the lineup because, it was pretty – the top of the lineup was productive, but there's some other spots that were holes against Bama. You have to give it to Arkansas for getting pounded on Friday and then winning a couple of tight games, including, getting behind 4-0 in game 2. I think their pitching's got to be a little bit more on point. It looks like they're going to go with TBA after Hunter Holland. So, I think Will McIntyre might have had the flu last week. Will he be good enough to pitch? What will they do with Hunter Smith, which is going to be a question, it seems, every weekend now. But I do believe what they'd like to be able to get to is get to the point where, say, Hunter Smith closes a Friday game with an inning, and he throws 18, 28 pitches, and then he can come back on Sunday. They haven't been able to get to that point, kind of the way they use Kevin Kopps, but not to the extent of duration they use Kopps, but that type of thing, or the way they used Brady Tigert last year. Now, Tigert's getting closer and closer, so if you can hang on and win another weekend or two and you get Tigert back, you're going to be in great shape. But the thing with Ole Miss is it feels like a little bit like last year. They were the last team to make the NCAA tournament field. They had a struggle in the middle of the year. They started playing better when they came to Fayetteville, almost won that series. Game 3 was a real war, and I think Kendall Diggs had a huge home run. But anyway, they're going to be a lot harder to beat at home, and their numbers look pretty good. They hit for a higher average than the Razorbacks. They're a great fielding team. Not good, but great. Their pitching has not been stout. All their starters' ERAs are in the 5s. So Arkansas is going to have to score a lot of runs and try to hold Ole Miss down.
Feels like a trap to me. I mean, you look at everything, it lines up, the records. Arkansas should win 2 of 3. You don't even mention a sweep, but you might get greedy if you win the first 2. But this just has trap written all over it to me.
I'm picking up what you're laying down, Tommy. Yeah, it does, because that Ole Miss, they're the defending champions of college baseball, and that they feel like they're better than what they've shown. It was kind of like Bama. I didn't expect this type of hard-fighting Alabama team to come in here, and they had a deep lineup. Yeah, so Ole Miss is better than what their record shows. They got off to a great start. I think they were 14-2 until the struggles began. I agree with you. Arkansas does not need to be looking at the record. They need to be looking at what's in front of them on the field when they play.
Dave was talking about how deep that Alabama lineup was and how veteran they were before the series, and Arkansas saw it firsthand in game 1. Now, you touched on the pitching a little bit. Again, Holland and Smith named to the, I think it was perfect game midseason All-American list, and Holland also up for the Golden Spikes Award, an award that Benny and Kevin Kopps won as Arkansas Razorbacks. Are those two, depending on the trajectory, depending on Tiger, are those two good enough to help you get to Omaha? Is that a strong enough pitching staff with the reliever and Hagan, and then Holland the way he's played and it's a transfer? Is that strong enough to help you get to Omaha, Tom?
Well, you got to have some other guys filling in for no doubt, because on a weekend you're going to get 1 appearance out of Holland and at a maximum 2 out of Smith. So other guys certainly are going to have to do their parts. Arkansas is going to have to score a lot of runs. I think, when you start talking about getting toward the postseason, they're going to have to score more runs. The bottom of their order has to deliver a little bit better. You think about third base. shortstop, and catcher. Those three are lower in the order. And then Brady Slavin's at first base. They got to get him going. And Peyton Stovall at second base. So you can see right now, since SEC play began, they're not hitting great as a team. And they have about 5 spots in the order that have not been consistently productive hitters. And so I think those are the biggest things you'd have to worry about in a postseason series. That, if you face a great guy like a Skeens, who's going to get on base for you? And they just got to get better consistent hitting.
Tom, we'll leave it there this morning, man. We'll see what happens at Oxford. We'll recap it on Tuesday. Also, what happens in Augusta, Georgia as well.
All right, I like the sound of it. See y'all.
Get analysis of every play, prop, and point at BetOnline. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to sign up and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Be sure to use our promo code BELIEVE to receive your bonus. That's BLEAV. BetOnline.ag, where the game starts.